this is an old clip, but I just saw it for the first time last week. I thought it was really good, particularly, we're already starting to see this die down. And as we get more data in, it is becoming clearer and clearer that the Democrats were not inhibited by the idea of defund the police. I mean, people can have their opinions as to whether that's the best marketing slogan or not. But the fact remains that we have at least 5 cities across the country where we're actually seeing, and more so probably with smaller cities, but five major cities, New York, LA, San Francisco, where we're seeing real, at least attempts at change in terms of the budget. Not as much as we would want in terms of cuts to the police budget in New York, but we're seeing pilot programs in all these cities to empower EMT people to respond to folks who are having mental health issues as opposed to police. We can go on down the line with this in terms of attempted, I don't know. I think we should be doing it for traffic stops too, frankly. But we can go on down the line. But there has been movement. We've seen polling from Minneapolis, and people are looking for funds taken away from police and invested in other social services in the city to diminish the portfolio, essentially, that police have. But here is a great testimony, if I guess you will. This is at appears to be like a city meeting. It is Yusuf Abdul Qadir. He's the director of the local chapter of the New York Civil Liberties Union in Syracuse. And he's basically making the argument to the mayor there, Ben Walsh. This is over the summer in July. And this is as well put as anything I've seen on this topic.
What percent of the police live in the city?
About 5% or so.
5%, so 95% don't live in the city.
Yes,
so when you say that the vast majority of the percentage goes towards salaries, etc.,
yes,
fringe benefits, that means that they take their money on 81, go to outside the city, pay taxes in those communities that have some of the best schools while we have an underfunded school district.
$60 million up.
So I just want to put into context what we're talking about, because it's really easy to say, Mayor, and with all due respect, I like you, but that was a very politician answer.
What specifically?
We will consider and we will look. What we're saying is we're not interested in considering and looking. What we're saying is actually there's 50 million, commit to 20 million cut.
Right.
Because we're sending money as the mayor of Syracuse. When you don't have a tax base, you're sending money out of Syracuse, and not just for 30 years, for the rest of their life. Because their pensions, their health insurance, their families. So we are funding for other people's communities to have the promise of the American dream while we are denying it in our community. That's the context that you as the mayor have to look at this under. So when we talk about renegotiating union contract, what we're saying is you can't play around with maybe no, y'all gotta go because you don't provide a service that is beneficial to the community, that is meaningful to the community. The services that you provide criminalize our community, impoverish our community, reallocate resources to suburbs. We are actually funding the suburbs, both in our police departments and in our schools. And to be clear, it's not just the fact of like the percentage of people. We're also funding what race of people on the police force. The percentage of race of teachers as well, superintendent, board president. So we want to put in context because it's not just a class issue, it's a race issue. We're telling black and brown people and poor people, you don't matter. The devil's in the data and in the details. Mayor, respectfully, it is not acceptable for us to be here considering.
So there it is. That is put as, succinctly as you would want in terms of, the city's got to decide how to allocate its resources. And it is allocating its resources to essentially like an air tunnel that is sucking more resources out of the city. And in terms of the services that it's providing for the city, it's criminalizing a huge percentage of the population and denying them the other type of support that they need in the city. I mean, that's basically it. It's
right.
Just,
and I'm not sure specifically about Syracuse, but as our schools are funded with property taxes too. So it's a doubly, it's a compounding issue there, because you're criminalizing people in the city of Syracuse, and you're providing them with inadequate education funding. And when there is funding in the city, it goes to the cops, then it goes to their pension funds, and they live outside the city. So it's tripling down on resources that are exiting where they're needed.
Right. I mean, because you increase the property values of the suburbs, you decrease the property values in the city. Those property values in the city are what fund your teachers. It's basically just a whatever the opposite of virtuous, an invirtuous, disvirtuous circle.
Yep.
So there you go.